And I think we might be live. Hello, everyone. I'm very glad to host another interactive English writing stream with all of you. And I already see that there's one person in the chat who has already notified me that they won't be able to participate, but only to watch. So this might be another episode where I make all the decisions. But I can assure you, there are worse people to give a lot of power to. And one of the two worst ones is going to be president or stay president of the United States of America very soon. But let's not talk about politics. We don't want politics in our art or our literature. Today we are talking about fixing the medical care system. So don't worry, no politics here. And last time we met, I talked to you about a little homework, and I assume none of you did it, so we're not going to talk about that anymore. Instead, I'm going to make a little introduction for everyone who might be new or who might be watching this in the far future when the cities are burning and no one has the physical possibility of doing anything but watching videos from a better past. So this is an interactive writing live stream. Someone is saying hello, which is very nice, and I want to give a reaction to that in the chat because I'm all about the audience and the fans. And there's another one, M. Hello, M. Nice to have you back, and nice to see you in the chat. Welcome. Here we go. Another heart. A capybara ate my homework, is what the criminal says, and I'm not sure, because from what I hear, capybaras are very friendly and helpful animals. So I think they are more the type of animal that would make your homework for you. Did a capybara do your homework? Was it not very good, and are you now ashamed to present it? That's okay. You don't have to come up to the blackboard. That's fine. Because this is not school, this is a liberated live stream. We're all about liberation here. Our education is liberating, so the aim of the oppressor does not become the I'm talking complete rubbish. It must be because it's so early. I'm sorry about that. You know where I was going with this. Complete the sentence at your leisure. What I was going to say. This is an interactive writing live stream in English, because I have a few fans internationally, of course. One could say a couple, as in two, which is a lot, and I'm grateful for every single one of them. And this writing live stream is about, you might not be able to see it from, oh, will I point in the right direction? I think I will. Yeah, I'm pointing in the right direction, almost. Here, from that, because this is the beginning of the story, you cannot see it there, but it is about a couple of Magi who want to fix the world and lead humanity on a better path that is more similar to the atmosphere in our liberated writing live stream right here. No, wait, wrong combination. This is where I want to go, and here you can see what can I say? And I think I'm gonna read the last few words we wrote so we can get back into the story, and then we will talk about the open question. Yeah, let's do that. Where do we start? There's a little discussion, I think, between Ruth and Munira and Sam. Sam is our Magi. Munira is a person who they have taken on as an apprentice. And finally, Ruth is the manager of a care facility. And Sam is trying to bring the better world to this care facility, and that turns out to be complicated, much more complicated than preventing the deportation where they saved Munira from. Yeah, because Sam is mostly, the Magi in general are not so much about subtlety, and raw power makes it easy to confront raw violence, but more difficult to confront deep-seated systemic oppression, I guess. And that's what our story is about. Isn't that fun, children? So Sam asks, how do you feel about money? Munira blinked at them. I'm not sure I understand the question. She keeps thinking about it, and I've skimmed your journalistic takes on the issue, and they mostly seem to agree that more money is needed to pay for the people who do the work, medical supplies and medication to facilities themselves, better food, activities, you know, the whole bunch. And it makes sense to me, because that's how your society works. So one thing could be giving them money, but it feels unsatisfying. Do you believe it would help? So you can admit ignorance and ask me for help, just not as long as someone else is in the room with us. Munira asked. Yeah, they are alone. Ruth left. Sorry, I forgot that. Sam clapped their hand and smiled. I knew I made a good choice with you. You felt right. No, I just think she already thinks about money sufficiently. I didn't want her opinion on it. Munira shrugged. It would probably help, I guess. Sam crossed their legs, put one elbow on one knee, and propped their chin on the palm of that hand. Thing is, I don't want to help as such. What? Asked Munira. See, the point is not doing your work for you, or giving you enough resources so you don't have to do the work anymore. Why not? Asked Munira. Because Sam pressed their lips together and wrinkled their nose in a disgruntled huff. If we were to do that for 10 billion of you, what else would we ever get to? Also, I have a nagging suspicion that you'd still find a way to bungle it all up. Sorry, I read that wrong. I mean, look where you are, resource-wise, compared to just a few historical moments ago. Did it help much? It did, Munira said. When did you last look at our life expectancy? So, and that's where we stopped last time. And of course, we can continue this conversation a bit, and that will be easy, and that will not be a problem. But we have to confront the fundamental problem sooner or later, and that, I'm sorry, I have not read, because they talked about that a bit earlier. And the main problem here is, of course, improving the medical care system is not simply done by stopping a few armed thugs from doing one thing. And of course, I have formulated the goal a bit too loftily to make the problem seem even bigger than it is. In fact, Sam only wants, they explained that also earlier, a signal, a symbolic act, so to speak. But still, as part of that symbolic act, Sam would like to have the inhabitants participate and ask them how to improve their situation. Because here the situation is not helped by simply having the people with the power leave the people without the power alone, because the people without the power need help. Most of them, I guess. That's why they are in that facility. So how to go about that? Of course, we need to ask them, because what kind of symbol for a better liberated world would be if you come in as a savior, don't even consider the opinions and needs of the people you want to save, do something impressive and then declare them saved and do that whole "my job here is done" routine. We don't want that. But, how can I say it? Having a discussion group with 120 inhabitants of a care facility, and this is not a dig against the people who live in care facilities, 120 people who rent apartments somewhere, or 120 board members of Dow Jones companies, it doesn't matter. That discussion might not make for good writing. This might not make for gripping and interesting storytelling, because such meetings, especially with a lot of participants, you might have participated in one such similar meeting with a lot of people trying to find a solution for a complicated problem yourself. If not, congratulations, I envy you. They tend to be boring and long and hard. And we can convey this without portraying it fully. Of course, that's one thing you do as a writer. But still, we need to make a decision on how to do it. And yeah, the homework I mentioned before was mostly to think of ways how to do it. And I promised not to talk about that again, and I just broke that promise. And I want you to know that there is a reason for that. I did not care that I had promised before. It was simply uninteresting to me, so I did it anyway. Luckily, I did the homework, so I prepared a few ideas, and I think we might have, instead of a big, long and boring group discussion, we might just have a vote on that. With democratic greetings. I'm not sure if any of you have played Helldivers. Seems to be very popular right now. Well, neither have I. So the ideas I have, there are a lot, because I put a lot of work into this. And the ideas are, let me see, I think they are about 9 of them. And I'm going to explain them a bit. I'll try not to make this a thing that takes an hour, because we want to get some writing done today. But I also want you to know what we're voting and talking about. So let me see. I need to get these into the chat so you can vote on them. Wait. Here they are. And I need to put emojis to them so the voting gets easier. So the first one is quite a simple one. We cut to someone else. Maybe it's, well, I don't remember the single name of another Magi. Was there one named Thor? I'm not sure. Well, we cut to one of the other Magi. They do their thing, which is flashy and impressive and easy. And then we cut back, and Sam has talked to the inhabitants, and it goes on. Now, I didn't say all of those ideas were good, but I also want to remind you that it's not just a matter of if the idea in and of itself is good, but how it's executed. And of course, we're going to execute whatever we choose flawlessly. It will be perfect. It will be a jaw-dropping example of modern literature they will talk about in reading groups and schools and universities for millennia, if humanity makes it that long. We can also, in a slight variation of my first idea, cut to Munira's bored imagination of something else while the discussion is going on. Maybe Munira sits there and thinks, oh, maybe I shouldn't have gone with Sam. Maybe I should have gone with someone else. Maybe I should have looked for my family and not joined Sam at all. Maybe being a Magi apprentice isn't all it's hyped up to be. Maybe I could be somewhere else. Could I have asked Sam to transport me to a yacht in the Caribbean and or under as an orca? Could I have asked Sam to change me into an orca so I can attack yachts in the Caribbean? That we need to do that at some point in our story, don't we? Maybe we need to do that. I'll keep it in mind. And we can follow Munira's train of thought in that direction. Maybe we even do an imaginary scene of something, and then we cut back, and Sam has had their discussion, and then they can implement whatever measures follow from that. Then, of course, there's the courageous option, which I didn't want to keep from you. And it's basically, we just do it. We do the actual plenum. Everyone is allowed to speak. Sam will probably use some sort of magic to make it into like a Teams call, I guess, where everyone can just speak their mind. And as I said, we just have to portray it and describe it in a way that works and that doesn't make it boring. And that will be hard, but I think it's doable. It might not be interesting for you to watch me do it, but that's always a gamble. Your call. And if we do that, I have to simplify a bit, 2 options. One of them is Sam gives up in the middle, annoyed. Sam says, okay, look, everyone has had their opportunity to speak. We have heard every imaginable opinion, many of them contradictory. You obviously can't settle on anything and you don't know what's good for you. I will do something, it will be symbolic and it might be a bit flashy, and then I will leave. My job here is done. Or Sam will just pull through and do it in the end. Both are possible. Gentle reminder for everyone here. Sam is not necessarily a force for simple moral good. Sam doesn't necessarily have to act in a way that we would describe as morally good. Sam can be a bit morally grey, I think, is the generally agreed upon term, though I think there is a problem with having the good called white and the bad called black. I can't quite put my finger on where that problem might be, but I feel we shouldn't do that. Yeah, you know what I mean. Sam can be bad. Sam can harm people. Sam is willing to harm people. Sam probably is not willing to harm people unnecessarily. Sam doesn't derive fun from harming people, usually. So Sam is not a bad person, but it is not necessary, if we deem it helpful to our story and our plot, to have do something that's not virtuous. It's possible. We don't have to, but we can. So the next option is doing it as a, I don't know what you call that in English. In Germany we would say Briefwahl. So people can send in their opinion, like in text. If it's actual text or not, that doesn't matter too much. But Sam will ask them, and they will provide their opinion, but there will be no meeting, there will be no talks, no discussion, no plenum, no parliament, nothing like that, no palaver. There's just, I don't know, 140 letters, whether they're physical letters or not doesn't matter. And we have to go through them in some way, and then we have to integrate that into our plot. Another way of doing it, another option, might be Munira does not participate. Sam does it, Sam does the whole plenum and discussion thing, but Munira is not part of it. She cannot witness all the details. She just sits there while Sam does it. Maybe she gets a little task. Watch Ruth Gabler, get something to drink, watch out. Maybe she gets some sort of guard duty while Sam can't concentrate on their physical surroundings, and maybe something interesting even happens. Maybe she has to talk to someone and explain why they can't come in right now. Maybe the police even arrive, but that's another option too. Wait for it. So another option for us to consider is have Sam need to leave before they can start. We can think of a good reason for that, or we can think of a bad reason for that. We can even keep it a secret for now. So we can have Sam continue this conversation, which I've just read. And then maybe they start talking about how to do the plenum and the discussion again, and they need the opinions of all the people who live in that facility. And then suddenly Sam looks at their watch, or pulls an envelope out of the air, or maybe Sam pretends to get a phone call again, or just looks a bit confused for a while, listening to the voices within, whatever, doesn't matter, we will decide that, that's a detail, that doesn't matter here. And then get up and say, sorry, we need to finish this later, there's an emergency. And then we can describe the emergency, and that will be fun, and that will be much easier to write. Maybe they fight a demon or something, or they have to help another Magi, or maybe I'm not sure if we've had a formal decision on that. Maybe an antagonist shows up. I think we decided against that, but I'm not sure how formal that is. So all those things are possible. Or maybe there's just a small thing that Sam considers important, because to them it doesn't matter if they save the world now or in a month from now or in a week or tomorrow. So to them, I don't know, having forgotten a cake in the oven is on a similar level of urgency as this. So we can leave and we can leave this problem for later, when maybe we are better equipped to deal with it, or maybe we can even forget it because the story progresses in another way. I don't think that would work completely. Then we would have to cut quite a bit of what we have written here, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just wanted to offer it as an option. So, 8. We can combine this with other options, of course, but another thing we could do is have another Magi arrive and simply do it without us having to witness everything. Maybe not the best idea. As I said, not all of those ideas are good, or any are necessarily ideas where I'm saying I want to do it this way, but I wanted to offer them to you. Maybe sometimes, you know, like in a brainstorming session, you know, sometimes it can happen that I propose a bad idea, but it inspires one of you to make something good out of it. Like maybe here, the way I phrased it, and I will put it to a vote for you, have another Magi arrive and do it, is not very helpful, because it's a cop-out in a way and might even leave the same problem or something. But maybe one of you goes, hey, but what if, and then something good. If I'd had it, I'd said it. But maybe you have it. Well then, another option again is they don't have a plenum discussion, and they also do not have the send-in with the letters, but instead Sam does it in sequence. So Sam talks to each inhabitant individually, not all at the same time. Makes a certain kind of sense, I think. And we don't describe the 140 discussions, but we describe maybe 1 or 2, maybe not completely, maybe just in excerpts. And then we cut to an exhausted Sam sitting there and going, well, that sure was an interesting 2 months of work. Sam can kind of control time, so we don't have to actually have 2 months passed. Sam can maybe talk to the 140 people simultaneously without having the plenum, you know? They just have 140 separate discussions at the same time. Maybe they can do that. And another thing, finally, that's kind of kind of related to the idea Sam needs to leave, but it's not the same. We produce our own blunt force to oppose, in the sense of, again, we can figure out the details when it happens, but or if it happens, or both. Someone called the police, more security people arrive, maybe even the military, because the government, we are in Berlin and the government is on to the fact that there are these Magi, and when they find them they want to oppose them with maximum prejudice or something. Some sort of blunt force arrives to oppose them, like that. And I think that's all the ideas I had. I will now put them to a vote for you. Leave me a few seconds. I have now posted the comment with all of them in there. And now I will add the emoji for you to click. Maybe interesting to you, Epiphany, you might be able to participate in this, because I will not say anything interesting while the poll is going on. So you could switch to the Discord quick and enter your vote. You don't have to. It's not me asking you to do this. Just saying, if you want to participate in that way, it should be possible. If that's the reason you can't participate, sorry for going into too much detail. I just thought it might be helpful. Maybe it wasn't. So here are the eyes. Here's the next clock emoji. We're almost done. Here's the penguin. Here's the plus sign, here's the bad car, and here's the shrug emoji, which we of course also offer for anyone who doesn't have an opinion. So, you are now able to enter your vote. Epiphany has done it. How nice. Thank you for your vote. I don't have these little I voted stickers. Maybe I should create one. Here, you know, I voted, exclamation mark. So you can print that out and then cut it out and then you can stick it wherever you like. So the vote is going on, and I can use this opportunity to say a few words about the sponsor of today's show. It is, of course, tea. You know, when you sometimes get thirsty, so do I. And you know what I like to do when I get thirsty? I drink tea. I put it into a cup. Maybe if I brewed it too strong, and don't let any tea experts hear about that. I add a little water, and then I drink it. Like this. And maybe you should too. And if you do, you can always use the code Fabian20 to make more tea. And please use the link in the description. This went too far, there's no link. So yeah, tea is a good thing. You can, of course, drink whatever you personally like, as long as you use the code Fabian20 while doing it. I'm not sure how you use the code. Not sure. Really not sure. You probably don't care anyway. I was just trying to bridge the gap of time while you were voting. I think everyone did. Pasud says, I voted. And says, I'm watching and listening and I'll vote. That's okay. Thank you very much for participating. I'm glad. So there we have it. We have a clear majority for they do them sequentially, and we take one as an example. As I explained, doing them sequentially might be kind of a misnomer because I still need to decide. And I think Sam will not do them sequentially in a physical way, but as I said, we'll do them all simultaneously, but not all together. That works better because otherwise, I mean, we are probably able to calculate that. How long would you say such a conversation might take? I think half an hour is the absolute minimum you need because, well, it starts in a halfway realistic setting. Sam would need the half hour at least only to explain who they are and what they are offering and what this is about. Maybe for some people you will need 2 hours just for that. I mean, imagine you show up and you say, hey, I'm a Magi and I can do magic and I want to help you. So what would you like me to do? That needs a bit of a setup. And then you have to get the ways to help them out of the people. And again, this is not me saying people who live in a care facility are bad about that. This is me saying people are bad about that. If you have ever been in a situation to find out what a group of people wants, you probably know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, if you have the impression that it's no problem at all, and that it's very easy to get a helpful opinion of how to help them out of a group of people in a halfway complicated situation, I'm aware. If you're, I don't know, in a police kettle with 10,000 protesters, it will be quite easy to get the opinion out of them that they want to be freed and let out of that kettle. Sure. Do we call that in English too? When the police encircle a group of protesters? We call that a Kessel in Germany. I'm not sure if it's a kettle in English too. I thought it might be, but I'm not sure. Just an example. Yeah, well, and it's basically like with the deportation. Of course, there are situations where it's just you're being violently mistreated, and of course you want the violent mistreatment to stop. But this is not that. I'm talking more about, I don't know, a group of people living together in an apartment, sharing an apartment, 6 people, and then you get together and talk about how to improve your cooperation and your living arrangements. I'm talking about that kind of situation. And that is difficult. So, an hour, average, maybe 2 hours, something like that. Of course, we can cheat, no? We can just have Sam do things with time, and as I said, Sam can have all the conversations simultaneously in their head. That all is imaginable and writable for us. So it's not really a problem. It's just something I think about in describing it. And that, of course, also means we have to make a decision about, well, which one do we take as an example? Is our example a particularly easy one? Is it a person that just accepts, oh yes, you're a Magi, fine, that's nice, I've been waiting for one of you? Or is it a conversation that is particularly difficult? I hesitate to even ask, but is it a conversation with someone suffering from dementia or other mental disabilities? Do we dare portray that? I think it's possible, but it's a challenge to write that in a way that conveys the problems, but not be mean about it, and have Sam react in a way that is fitting to Sam's character, but without being mean about it. And of course, I mentioned that last time, and of course it's imaginable, and I guess a lot of fantasy and magic working stories would do that. Sam could snap a finger and erase the problem, but that feels icky too. So maybe not. Yeah, we'll have to make that decision. And I think what we will do, it's now 11:30 more or less, we will continue the conversation Sam is having with Munira, which I've already read a bit of, have that lead to our decision we just met right now, see where we are then. I'm not sure if there will even be time left over then. And then I can give you another homework assignment, which you can ignore or have eaten by capybaras. And we can make that decision then on a better informed ground. Oh, by the way, I'm going to write it. I'm gonna write a short reply. Thanks, very glad. In case you would like a short introduction, or what do you call it? Summary, or summary of what happened so far, I can provide that. Not now live, but later on. Here we go. So let's go on with our little writing experiment. Just gonna place the chat where it belongs again. Here we go. Maybe it's better like this. So yeah, might feel a bit weird because we've just made a big decision, structural and all that, and now we have to get back to the nitty-gritty of this discussion, which has for now not a lot to do with it. Sam, did they do that before? Press the lips together. I'm always unsure. I say that every time. Do I do too much, too little, or do I just wrong in doing these little things here, like this description of physical events happening during a conversation? It's difficult. A difficult balance. Sorry, it's a difficult balance to strike, is what I was trying to say. Still, I'm gonna do it. their lower lip thoughtfully. I think you say it like that, right? Screwed up their eyes and answered in a half dismissive way. Well, yes, your standard of living has improved, at least for a few of you. But you haven't become better people or started to treat each other better. Now it was Munira's turn to look a bit doubtful. She... what do you call that? This here. Pulled down the corners of her mouth, pulled a grimace. She... maybe this is the time to not do it. She answered a bit sorry. Maybe we have a bit. I'll admit, it's still bad, but there are improvements. Are there not? There's democracy. More or less, in many places. That's good, don't you think? This is Munira's perspective, of course. So I think it might be sensible to have her think something, or maybe I'll even go out and say it. There's democracy and human rights and all that. Not that democracy and human rights had prevented what had been about that Jesus, what's it called in English? You know, that's second level past. Do you know what that's called in English? In Germany we say Plusquamperfekt, and I think it's not the same in English. Is it past perfect? I think it's past perfect, right? That's frowned upon. And again, I'm not sure if it's frowned upon as much in English as it is in German. Maybe I should Google that, not now, after the stream. Yep, past perfect, Plusquamperfekt. It's the same thing. Great. But sometimes I think you need it to be accurate. So maybe I should finish the sentence so you know what I'm talking about. Not that democracy and human rights had prevented what had been... I think about to happen is one too much. Happening to Munira when Sam showed up. Gekrimbel says, I like it, past perfect. Yeah. But still, it complicates sentences. I think it's worse in German. It feels a bit... how does it feel? Not perfect, I can tell you that. Laugh track. I need buttons. I need a stream deck so I can add a laugh track in these situations, I think. Epiphany says it's not frowned upon in English. Thanks for that input. Useful. I guess you know best yourself, said Sam dismissively, and Munira wondered whether she should feel insulted by being lumped in with the whole of humanity. Clever idea here. You might not have realized, so I need to explain. This is at the same time a thought Munira has, which seems reasonable to me. And it's also a little bit of an explanation, because I think this sentence here, and guess you know best yourself, is not completely clear about who is you. Is it you, Munira, or is it you, humans, or is it you, something else? So, again, idea and execution, but I wanted to alert you to this clever little technique, because I don't use a lot of clever technique. So whenever I do it, I'm very proud. I should feel insulted by being lumped in with the whole of humanity. Yeah, I guess Sam can just continue talking. And I'll keep the money thing in mind. It's just money after all. How much harm could it do, right? And now I will not do anything physical, no face, no gestures, nothing. Is that cool? How much harm could it do, right? Now I'm not sure if you're messing with me, or if you're genuinely that clueless. Do we need that? Do we need that? I mean, that part. Or is it cooler, better, more snappy if we leave it like this? I think it's better if we leave it like this, without the or. I think so. We're gonna leave it like this. Are you all already thinking about what kind of example for a Sam conversation with the people, right? With the person living in that care facility you would like to have? I hope you are, because I'm gonna ask you. Sam laughed. Do I say, difficult. Very low stakes, high difficulty situation, because I want to convey that Sam does not laugh at her. This is not a, oh dear, you don't get anything, do you, laugh. But this is a good-natured laugh. So I could just say Sam laughed good-naturedly. But that might be too on the nose anyway, and also I just did it with an adverb up here, said Sam dismissively, and I don't want everything to come with an adverb. It's okay to use adverbs, don't let anyone tell you otherwise, but there are very, very, very few things that it's okay to overdo, and adverbs are not one of them. Sam, maybe it's best to not say it, but to convey it in Sam's reply. Maybe that's what works best. Sam laughed. I was messing with you a bit. I'm sorry. Co-conspirationally. That would be a nice word, yeah, but I think I'm gonna do it without an adverb. But thank you for the idea. Keep it in mind. I was messing with you a bit. I'm sorry. Even I realize that money is a big thing for you. Can you not do that? What do you mean? Say, how is that? Maybe I'll just say it. It can be a bit awkward. I mean, I think, how do I say this so that it doesn't come across as a lazy excuse? I'm gonna say it so it comes across as a completely trivial, meaningless thought. It's difficult to hit the right note with conversations between people in writing. You probably know that, but I'm going somewhere with this. Not somewhere very interesting, but I think I'm gonna try to explain a bit of background. You can always, if it's easy for you to use the chat, you can always try to stop me. If you think, yeah, we know where you're going, stop it. Just say what you want to say. You can do that. I just think I'm trying to strike a balance between not making this a course where I explain to you what I think about writing, but I also think kind of the point of this whole thing is to talk about different ways to write. And yes, it's interactive, so the idea is not only I can explain. You can explain something too if you like. Feel free. I can even, if any one of you ever wants to have a not just chat text input, but an actual voice in this, that's technically possible, I think. We can give you a segment. You can even come in via video if you like. If you want to explain something, let me know. We can try that. I think it might be technically a bit interesting because I haven't tried it yet, but it should be doable. In a way, it will definitely be doable. I'm not sure how easy it will be, but we can try. Anyway, where I was going. It's difficult. Every decision you make about this is difficult to execute, but it's also difficult to come to a decision. There are, of course, lots of different ways to write dialogue. One place or one example people love as a positive example of good, snappy, funny dialogue is The West Wing. We're not going to talk about the political problems of this show. There are a lot of them. But I'm gonna say I liked the dialogues. Yes, they are good in a way. But the problem I have with that they are not dialogues real people have. They are not real people dialogues. A bad example of the same thing is the German series Tatort. Or I even know an English example. So you see, I'm not only finding things in my first language embarrassing. It's called Criminal Minds. And I love Mandy Patinkin. I wanted to like it, but it's horrible. I really love Mandy Patinkin. I wanted to like Criminal Minds. I was not able to. Criminal Minds has terrible dialogue. and it's also not natural. It's stilted, it's boring, it's unnecessarily redundant, and it's very, very it wants to be interesting and what's the word? Wait, I already have my translation open. I can just use it. No. Funny typo, but I can't explain it. So, it wants to be thrilling and exciting and gripping. And once it's so bad that you can feel it looking at you and begging you to say, you're a good dialogue, you're so thrilling, but it's just not. And then there is dialogue that feels actually natural, that feels like, yes, this is a dialogue that real people could have. And there are examples of that. A German example comes to mind, like maybe Sven Stricker. Sorry about that. He also has his political problems. But yeah, he writes stuff, or maybe the Tatortreiniger, what's he called in English? Crime scene cleaner, I think. You can find him in English, I think on Netflix, maybe depending on your location, of course, if you're not using a VPN, which is not the sponsor of today's show, so I'm not going to go into that. And I think he does that pretty well. But of course, you can never do a dialogue in writing that is actually like an actual conversation people will have, because that will be, if you've ever read an actual transcription of what people talk, maybe a protocol of some sort of parliament debate, or a verbatim protocol of court proceedings, or some sort of conference, doesn't matter. People's actual dialogue is incredibly messy and confusing and pointless and annoying and boring. You can't write like that. As the famous quote, I'm not sure if Harrison Ford actually said it, no, that's the different way. You can say this shit, but you sure as hell can't write it. Yeah, the other way around is what we need. So yeah, but most writers, if you're not going for another effect, writing is all about effect, you can try whatever you like, and it can work if you do it well. But I guess most writers, especially humble genre writers like if you're not a highbrow lit fic type guy, most of them, the bad ones are guys, you aim for dialogue that feels natural without being natural. And you might have noticed I personally tend to err a bit more on the side of natural dialogue than on the side of, I'm going to say it in a kind of self-deprecating, unfair way, good dialogue. So I will try to make my dialogue more natural than good. And I hope that works for you. If it doesn't, or if it does, let me know. Write it down in the comments below, because YouTube and every social media, mostly, I think, as far as I know, they like a good interaction. So tell me. You don't have to, it's fine. But you can. And of course, you can also always say it in the Discord. And no algorithm ever will care. Say you and mean me as well as every other person or human person, I guess. Are you not? She stopped herself. There. Comment in the chat. I think the Americans are an okay example for a show that feels like... sorry, I never asked you. I think I only said that before you joined. I usually read the comments from the chat. I try to be sensitive about it, so if I see something that is obviously not meant for reading, I will not do it. But this seems like the kind of comment I would read, so if you don't want that, thumbs up. Okay, fine. I think the Americans are an okay example for a show that feels like it does a good job at that, especially because the voices don't change in artificiality when they switch between talking about big politic morality and small family relationship dynamics, for an English language example. Nice. I haven't watched that, but I'll try. Thank you for that idea. That's also a good example, yeah. I might have a few more of my own, maybe, but I'll check in on the Americans, and maybe we'll have a whole episode about dialogue one day. So yeah. What did Munira say? Say you and mean me as well as every other person or human person, I guess. Are you not? She stopped herself, realizing that she was about to derail her own point. What I mean is, please talk to me as an individual. I don't like to be your single representative of mankind. Feels like too much responsibility. Here, so good example. This is confusing. This is not very well phrased. This is not something you would find in West Wing. It's not snappy, it's not cool, it's a bit messy and weird, and it's awkward. And it's still much less awkward and more snappy and cooler and better thought through than the average actual human dialogue, especially probably by a person in her situation, which can be kind of overwhelming. I'm not sure if you've ever been in a situation like traveling as an apprentice to a maybe not quite human person with godlike powers trying to browbeat humanity into being better. Not sure if you know that feeling. Well, I guess we've all been in one similar situation. Kind of. Yeah. And I don't... Maybe even like this. I can't say how much I don't want to feel responsible for the whole of human societies. They laughed. I guess I'm going to say Sam laughed because it might sound like they both laugh. Laugh again. Oh, and I think Ruth Gabler should come back. Did she go to get something, or did they ask her to leave? I think she just went to get some tea or something. She needs to come back soon. Maybe she even needs an excuse, like the coffee machine was broken. I'll check on it. I'll do that in the break between episodes. Sam laughed again. I can understand that. I'll try to remember. Though I'll admit that was one important reason why I took you. You can do it less obviously. Munira said, I'm not that perceptive. Now, I think now Ruth Gabler will come back, and then we will start with what we decided today. So that will be something for next episode. for today, let me thank you for joining me in my humble little live stream. This was a great lot of fun. I thank you also for helping me with that decision. It was a difficult decision, and I hope we made the right choice there. I'm not sure, but the show will be interesting. I'm convinced of that. I thank you very much for investing 1 hour of your precious Sunday, assuming that your Sunday is precious to you, on my show, and I would love to see you again next time. And if you think there are other people whom I'd love to see again next time, let them know. This is public, this is interactive, this is fun, this is great. You want to know, you want to tell others about it, don't you? Then do it. Have a nice day.